AWA TV episode 11, the final episode before Golden Gauntlet is here. Of course, Austin here, joined as always by Mr. Justin. Say hello, sir. Tonight we come to the climax of our road to Golden Gauntlet, where the road to WrestleFest begins. In order to get there, though, we have to get through tonight, where you see, of course, starting us off tonight, Tama Tonga, one half of the AWA World Tag Team Champions, of course, to be flanked by the Bloodline, takes on one of his challengers for those tag titles of the Street Profits, Mr. Angelo Dawkins. Well, of course, you know, the Street Profits earned their tag team title opportunity. Both Dawkins and Ford have singles victories over Tongaloa for Dawkins and Tama Tonga for Ford, respectively. They have not been able to knock off the Street Profits whatsoever. Actually, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, since winning the tag titles, have not won a match yet. But that has to be riding on them, though, knowing they can't do it by themselves and they need the other. That has to ride on them and weigh on their shoulders as they walk into Golden Gauntlet to defend those beautiful tag team titles. Now, don't forget, Montez does not have the night off tonight. Later on tonight, he goes one-on-one with Tongaloa, which is sure to be an absolute barnstorming affair. As we know, Mr. Montez Ford likes to, bounce a little bit off of those ropes. They have openly declared they are ready for the smoke that Tama Tonga and Tongaloa are prepared to bring them at Golden Gauntlet when they challenge for the tag titles. But tonight it's not about tag titles. It's all about momentum. I mean, as I said earlier, though, with Tama Tonga and Tongaloa having no victories since beating the Wyatt Six at Option A to capture the tag team titles, one has to think that if you really do get down to it, the Profits would have to be the favorite, especially if Dawkins wins here. Absolutely. Solo also trying to bring gold to the bloodline at Golden Gauntlet when he challenges Drew McIntyre for the TV title. Now a submission hold applied by Dawkins. Quickly reversed by and it only took one Claymore for Drew McIntyre to win the TV title from Sami Zayn, who will be in action tonight in our main event when he goes one-on-one with the Option A briefcase holder, Seth freaking Rollins. And of course, and now cover here by Dawkins. And the referee was pulled out. And you would have to think, what kind of role is that going to play come Golden Gauntlet when all these title matches actually come afoot? And now a big elbow by Dawkins. And now Montez, though, paying dividends, giving the Bloodline a taste of their own medicine. You do got to give credit to the Bloodline, though. They have gold in the tag titles. They have the opportunity to bring more gold to the faction. And also, Jacob Fatu in the men's Golden Gauntlet match has the opportunity to win that match and go to the main event of WrestleFest to challenge whoever the AWA champion is at that point for that title. If you know, there's a very good chance that the Bloodline could hold all the gold in AWA. Cover now. And Tama Tonga getting the job done, putting, I will say he shut me up there. The first victory in singles action since winning the tag titles. Will lightning strike twice, though? When later on tonight, Montez Ford goes one-on-one with the other half of the World Tag Team Champions, Tonga Loa. And will this be the scene at Golden Gauntlet? The Bloodline standing tall over their fallen foes. Up next for you this evening, Obafemi, the Nigerian ruler, walking into his last opportunity at Golden Gauntlet for the Intercontinental Championship against Grayson Waller, goes one-on-one with the man who will challenge Eddie Guerrero for the United States title, the phenomenal AJ Styles. Now that would be an incredible match. Obafemi or Styles with both the Intercontinental and United States titles around their waists. That would be, especially Obafemi. I don't know how Grayson Waller has gotten it done twice defeating Obafemi. I don't know how he's done it, but he's always found a way to get the job done when it comes to retaining his title. Oba has yet to figure Grayson Waller out. You do have a fair point there. Of course, Austin Theory, he might, maybe Austin Theory will be too caught up with the men's Golden Gauntlet match that he's declared for to be, concerned with his tag team partners' title defense. And this man here looks to walk out of Golden Gauntlet as the United States champion when he goes one-on-one with the current champion, Eddie Guerrero. Now that is sure to be one hell of an affair. AJ Styles, of course, has fallen short to Eddie Guerrero before, most notably at Title Tournament when Eddie Guerrero won the United States title. AJ Styles, of course, pinned by Eddie Guerrero in that match, a triple threat match that also included the badass Braun Breaker. Now coming out with a huge running STO. You have to think that the Nigerian ruler is going to take out as much frustration as possible preparing for his title match at Golden Gauntlet. Well, one would have to think, though, if neither of these two men walk away with the respective championships they're challenging for, they still have the option. Quick roll-up now by Styles. Hold that thought. But, they still have the option of being a late declaration for the men's Golden Gauntlet match. And Femi giving Styles exactly what he thinks now. Of course, Styles knocking off Carmelo Hayes last week to earn that opportunity at the United States title. Cover now by Femi. 2, and wait a minute. Elbows through the phenomenal heart of Styles. You know, for AJ's stature, a lot of people, underestimate AJ's strength, but he just scooped the Nigerian ruler Obafemi up with ease. Of course. And now, wait a minute, could we? Oh, I thought he was going for the phenomenal forearm there, but and nonetheless, here is a cover. 1. He might not need a pin, hooking in the calf crusher. Calf crusher applied by Styles. Not enough, though. Femi showing the wounds of war. Looks like Femi has been busted open. Not able to clear. One stomp on a leg, and now the cover. Wait a minute, Femi! You want to talk about out of nowhere. Completely out of nowhere decision. One has to think of just how Femi is feeling after that. Of course, and then here's the final pinfall. And that's a big win for AJ Styles as he heads towards Golden Gauntlet to challenge Eddie Guerrero for that United States title. I know I would be knocking off a man the size of Obafemi. And speaking of men the size of Obafemi, last week on AWA TV, Brooks Jensen answered the open challenge of the ring general Gunther and proceeded to be kicked into oblivion by the ring general. And so he, him being Brooks Jensen, called out perhaps the toughest member of the AWA locker room, APA's Farouk. And in the famous words of one Mr. Farouk, damn. There's only one man in this world who could say it better, and you're staring at him right there. I think he'll understand the word a little bit better when he gets the other half of his face plastered onto the boot of Farouk. And well, you know what? I trying to be, as a true commentator, trying to be impartial. I don't want to count Brooks Jensen out just yet. However, of course, I mean, we'll have to see. The bell has sounded, and then quick shots by Farouk. Now a collar elbow tie-up. I will say, though, Brooks does have the height advantage over Farouk. So, I mean, if he's able to, stay at a distance, he might actually be able to... He might actually stand a chance here, which he's doing fairly well for himself with the hammerlock applied. The go-behind by Farouk. Who could ever forget in the 90s? Bradshaw and Farouk of the APA, the acolytes in the ministry. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. You could never forget back a couple years ago on Raw where Lita hired some protection and Heath Slater found out just how good the APA truly are at protection. Although I will say Brooks Jensen is giving Farouk just about all he can handle here. Of course, and you can't forget the fact Farouk, a former WCW World Champion as well, first African American World Champion. Now cover here. Wait a minute. And now, of course, before the count of one, could you imagine Brooks Jensen walking away from this match with a victory, possibly carrying that into the men's Golden Gauntlet match? No confirmation of Brooks Jensen being present in that match yet. What is this? Oh my goodness. Planting. Face first. Cover by Farouk. This has to be it too. And that is two losses in a row for Brooks Jensen, a modern day Heath Slater. Oh, he's played the L chord fairly well. Hey, you know what? He had a lot more offense tonight than he did against Gunther last week. I'll give him that. Well, yeah, I'll make sure to put him through concussion protocol. Don't worry. And moving on from that, as Brooks Jensen begins his concussion protocol, the Judgment Days, Finn Balor and Dirty Dominic Mysterio looks to right the wrongs against Legado del Fantasma as they go up against Berto and Garza of Legado del Fantasma. Of course, Finn Balor falling to Santos Escobar a couple weeks ago, and then last week, JD McDonough falling to Berto, and now tonight they look to get a measure of revenge for the Judgment Day. There you see Raquel in the back, Carlito, and of course the woman who will challenge Cora Jade for her Women's World Championship at Golden Gauntlet, Liv Morgan. As somebody who doesn't speak Spanish, I'm going to agree with what Justin said. I have no idea what the word you just said means. Let's go with that. That's just about right. Of course, former Judgment Day member Rhea Ripley, Mommy, who will be in action later tonight, one-on-one against Roxanne Perez. That's sure to be a great match. I would want to be Roxanne Perez. And there you see, representing Legado del Fantasma with the, kind of looks like the old 2014 TNA Wolves. Scratches on their chest. Berto and Garza. Well, of course, we know that Berto is a great singles competitor, knocking off the bobblehead JD McDonough last week. I will say it's kind of interesting. They're coming out here alone. No Santos. No Elektra Lopez. Maybe. Well, they've had the Judgment Day's number here recently. They really have. Looks like it's going to be Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Berto to start us off here. And take nothing away from Dominic Mysterio. He truly has come into his own as a competitor ever since separating from his deadbeat dad, as he calls them. I'm not saying that Rey Mysterio is a deadbeat father. Just want to make that known. Absolutely. I mean, he fought a ladder match for custody of Dominic, quite a few years ago against Eddie Guerrero at SummerSlam in the WWE. I mean, I don't know about you, but if my dad fought a ladder match for me, I'd say he's a pretty good dad. And now Dominic Mysterio, too busy showing off here, getting a right hand to the face. Well, his alleged father, Eddie Guerrero, of course, defending his U.S. title at Golden Gauntlet. Liv Morgan challenging for the Women's World title at Golden Gauntlet. You have to think Raquel's going to be in her corner there. And now a cheap shot by Berto. As I said, though, take nothing away from Dominic Mysterio. Of course, Berto and Garza have already tagged in and out here at least once or twice. And Dominic really hasn't tagged Finn in at all. He's kind of been taking it on his own here. Probably not the smartest idea as he gets a backdrop for his troubles. He's putting Berto in it, and there we go. First tag of the matchup for the Judgment Day. Now, as somebody, Justin, who has been in the ring against some of the premier luchadors, in wrestling. Now, cover quickly. How does one prepare for somebody like in Finn Balor's situation, the only non-luchador in this match? How does somebody prepare to change their styles, really, if you think about it? Japanese wrestlers hit hard. Waiting for that last baby tooth to grow in, are you? Well, it's not coming back a second time. The 190-pounder from Bray County, Wicklow, Ireland. Another double team maneuver with Dominic Mysterio. Oh. On the floor, no less. And now look at Carlito. Look at Carlito getting involved, of course. And of course, Liv Morgan getting involved. And wait a minute, we have a count-out victory for the Judgment Day. It's a count-out victory for the Judgment Day, thanks to Liv Morgan and Carlito getting involved. It's not the way I wanted it to happen. No honor in a count-out victory, but I guess Judgment Day's not worried about honor. They're worried about victory points, because in a tag team division as stacked as AWA's, every little victory gets you one step closer to a possible tag team title opportunity. That is a fair point. This was just what this here was just diabolical. Of course. It's this an unfortunate finish to what was a fantastic matchup. And speaking of the Judgment Day, Roxanne, of course, from the great state of Texas, trained by none other than the man whose favorite move is the Devil's Kiss of La Primera. Roxanne, who had the opportunity to possibly become the inaugural Women's World Champion, lost her qualifying match to none other than the Judgment Day's Liv Morgan. And she's facing a woman who was in the six-pack challenge match back at Title Tournament to crown the inaugural Women's World Champion. Of course, won by Cora Jade. None other than the best Australian in professional wrestling, bar none. Even better than her husband. One half of the Terror Twins, Rhea Ripley, of course, Damian Priest. More than likely preparing for the men's Golden Gauntlet match, although we've had no confirmation of him actually being a part. We do have confirmation and a declaration by Rhea Ripley that she will be in the women's Golden Gauntlet match. I would feel bad for either Cora Jade or Liv Morgan if they would have to walk into the main event of WrestleFest to face that. Definitely a substantial size difference between the two. However, though, the strength of Roxanne Perez. I stand corrected there. Or sit corrected, I should say. I'm sitting at my desk. What kind of momentum would this give somebody like Roxanne Perez as she goes into the Women's Golden Gauntlet match? It looks like we're going to have somebody joining Brooks Jensen in concussion protocol. Oh, just disrespectful slaps by the Eradicator, though. Now that hurts more than anybody could ever know. It's a good stomp on the fingers. I'd rather get ran over by a bus than either jam my finger or stub my pinky toe on the coffee table. Now cover by Ripley. Not very much behind that kick out by Roxanne Perez. Could Roxanne be beginning to fade out here? Possibly starting to mount herself a comeback. Now submission hold locked in, but of course, the long legs of Rhea Ripley paying dividends there. I would pay good money to see either of these two women in the main event of WrestleFest, either against either Cora Jade or Liv Morgan. Oh, wait, it might be over here. And Pop Rocks connects. There's two, and Roxanne almost got the job done on Rhea. Went for a Meteora, did not connect. Just flapjacking Roxanne onto the mat. Cover now by Ripley. I think those three boots to the face may have just taken all of her fight out of her. Ripley now with a frog splash. Cover by Ripley. Two, and Rhea Ripley off the frog splash with the victory over Roxanne Perez. Definitely not words I'd ever thought I'd hear myself say. I thought she had her right. Pop rocks wasn't even enough to keep Ripley down, though. She really did take it to Ripley, although one frog splash is all it took to bring an end to the Prodigy's night. Mommy with the victory, and now Braun Breaker, who fell to Seth Rollins last week and lost also to Kevin Owens 2 weeks ago. Via disqualification from Seth Rollins getting involved. Of course, that's setting up the match between Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens at Golden Gauntlet for Rollins. For Rollins' option A briefcase. But you hold that briefcase, you hold all the power when it comes to the AWA Championship. Cashing that briefcase in anytime, anywhere for up to 6 months. Who could ever forget the spear that this man delivered to I Show Speed? Nearly breaking the man in half. I wouldn't say the nephew. I think he's the nephew, if I'm not mistaken, of one of the Steiner brothers, I think. Is it his father or his uncle? I thought it was his Oh, that's Rick Steiner, right? Of course, not Scotty Too Hottie. That would be I would have some questions if Scotty Too Hottie was the father of that man right there. Well, that depends on if he was getting in on his uncle's supply, and I'll probably get a cease and desist for that at some point. I'm sure there will be a cease and desist in the mail to come very soon. I'll cut that. Yeah, just yeah. I'll mark that. He's fighting for a big prize at Golden Gauntlet, I'll tell you that much. That is as a near 300-pound man, he is just tossing around the ring. I don't think I could pick up Kevin Owens for a cup of coffee, let alone over my head. But I mean, with this going on and this kind of beating Kevin Owens is taking to start this match, if he doesn't mount offense soon and Braun Breaker wins this match like this, that would completely derail any sort of momentum Owens has as he challenges Seth Rollins for that Option A briefcase. He's getting absolutely decimated. Again, are we going to see this absolute show of strength and now cover by the Badass? Now the straps are coming down. And now yet another power bomb. And this time walk and now switching positions. Owens, though. Owens. Oh, no. That could have been disaster. That could have ended the young career of Braun Breaker. And now, diving shoulder tackle. Oh no, we all know what's coming here. Breaker in the corner with a giant spear. Nearly cutting Evans in half. I mean, that's going to kill any momentum Owens has if he looks to capture that Option A briefcase against Rollins at Golden Gauntlet. Of course, Rollins in our main event, one-on-one with Sami Zayn tonight, but I don't see any path to victory for Kevin Owens as of this point. Kevin Owens is going to walk into Golden Gauntlet as an extreme underdog. Cody Rhodes and Goldust, the Rhodes Dynasty, as they prefer to be called, will team up not only tonight but also at Golden Gauntlet, where they will take on their father, Dusty Rhodes, in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Which was asked for by none other than Dusty Rhodes himself, who looks to I agree, but he's going up against both of his sons at the same time. He's going to have a tall task ahead of him, especially having no partner that he can tag in. He's going to have a very tall task ahead of him at Golden Gauntlet. That's just a given. And I do agree with the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes that wrestling does have more than one royal family, but there are other ways that he can show that without having to overthrow the patriarch of the Rhodes royal wrestling family, or as he calls it, the Rhodes dynasty. And I'm telling you, this all started because back at Title Torment in the eight-man battle royal for the TV title, Dusty eliminated Cody Rhodes from that match. And ever since then, Cody has not been able to let it go. Of course, they have a tall task ahead of them. Mark and Joe Coffey representing Gallus, a team with much more experience when it comes to teaming together, at least recently. Now, as a heads up to everyone, following the entrance of Gallus, Part 2 will kick off from the bell of this tag team matchup, where the Rhodes Dynasty, Cody Rhodes and Goldust, take on Gallus. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever you guys do. And at the bell, we will pick up episode 11, part 2, the final episode before Golden Gauntlet. And keep in mind, part 2, the card construction for Golden Gauntlet as well. And right before the bell, we will wait and pick up where we left off. For myself and Justin, we will see you AWA TV episode 11, part 2. Justin, you know what to do.